Hi, in this video I want to talk briefly about exponents and give you a little bit of an introduction to them. Many of you have seen them before and maybe have a faint familiarity with them, but I just want to show you the why. In other words, what is the point? Why do we have exponents? What's the big deal? So, in order to talk about exponents, I want to talk about addition first, all right? And it's seemingly unrelated, but I think you'll see the point in a second. If I've got this expression here, that's 3 plus 3 plus 3, right? Going on and on like that. And I ask you to figure out what that is. Hopefully, at this point, a lot of you, obviously you could just add them all up. You could go 3 plus 3 is 6, and 3 plus 3 is 9, and keep going on until you get 15, right? But there's a much faster way of doing it, and most of you have learned that, and that's through, counting how many of the repeated numbers are there, and then when you count how many groups there are, you have 3 times 5, which is another way of saying 5 groups of 3, right? And that's multiplication, and that's how you guys learned it, right? And then hopefully you learned your facts, and 3 times 5 equals 15. All right, so when we talk about exponents and what the whole point of exponents is exponents is the same concept, except instead of repeated addition, it is repeated multiplication. This dot symbol here, if you're not familiar with it, is a multiplication symbol. We start using dots more and more in middle school math because x's now are going to be used a lot more in our algebraic expressions and things like that, and we don't want to get confused. So this is saying 3 times 3 times 3 times, right? And it's saying it. So when you figure something like this out, it gets much more difficult, right? And it's so if we want to write something like this, there's a much faster way of writing it, and it's through using exponents. And so the way it works is you take the factor that's being repeated, and this factor, 3, is going to be our base, and then our exponent is going to be the number of times we repeat that base. So if we look at that, we'll say, okay, well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 is going to be my exponent, and when we write it, we're going to write it as 3 to the 5th power, right? 3, so our base, to the 5th power. Okay, so let's look at and then when you do figure that out, you will figure it out the same way you normally would figure it out. This is just a much easier way of writing it. You would go 3 times 3 times 3 and go through and multiply that out 5 times. Most calculators have functions where you can use things like that. So this is more of like a shorthand of how to figure that out. So let's look at an example of where this might come in handy. All right, so Joe has 2 cents in his piggy bank and wants to double the amount in there every day. Okay? How much will he have saved after 30 days? So if we look at this, all right, so on the first day, so we're going to say we have day, and then we'll say amount. All right? So on day 1, he's got 2 cents. On day 2, we're going to double this, so we're going to take 2, and we're going to go 2 times 2, and that's going to give us 4 cents. And then on day 3, it would be starting with your amount from day 2, which was 2 times 2, and then we multiply it, we double it again, which is multiplying by 2, and you get 8. So if you see what's happening here is every time we go, every day, that's basically how many 2's you're multiplying together. You got 1, 2 for day 1. You've got 2 for day 2. You've got 3 for day 3. You've got 4 for day 4. So if you want to figure out how much money he saved after 30 days, right? You can go through this after 30 days, but it gets a little cumbersome doing it, and you have to do this multiplication, 30 different times or 29 times. All right, so the easier way to do this is to say, well, 2 is my repeated factor. and I'm repeating it, multiplying it by itself. If you're going, you notice how on day 2 there's 2 of them, on day 3 there's 3 of them. So then on day 30 there's going to be 30 of them altogether. There's going to be 32s. So it would be 2 to the 30th power. All right, and then what you would do is you would get a calculator out, because even good mathematicians don't generally know what 2 to the 30th power is. And you go 2, they have this nice feature where you can raise it to any power you want. 2 to the 30th power, and you get this staggering large number. And I don't even know if it's going to all fit on here. You get this, right? 1,073,741,824 cents. If we move their decimal over 2 spaces to put it in dollars and cents form, you will have $10,737,418.24. That's just doubling every day if you double it in, all right? Now, that's different from adding 2 cents. This is multiplying it. This is doubling it. So this is an example of exponential growth that I believe is, it kind of goes to show you how you can get big numbers in a hurry with this. So hopefully this explains it a little bit, shows you the necessary reasons for having this kind of notation available to us.